welcome to all of our guests. I think it's great when you come and say you're here because you want to be better public speakers, because that's our mission here at the Right School. Another observation that I've made over the last few weeks, we seem to have a lot of turnover in our speakers dropping out or not speaking. When I first joined, there was a lot more people just stepping up at the last minute to do speeches to fill in these positions. So Sarah, for example, there, you're here. You know, someone didn't show up, you have an extra speaking spot. So I'm putting, this is an example of it. Last night I saw there's an open speaking spot. There's something I wanted to address the club with. I thought, I'm just going to get up there, not totally prepared, well-rehearsed, but put an outline together and want to talk to you guys about taboo subjects. How many of you guys read Toastmaster magazine? Okay, did you see this article on the taboo subjects? I was fascinated by this, and it was really timely because I'd had a couple conversations with fellow Toastmasters about not being able to speak about some subjects that were dear to them because they felt that they were taboo at Toastmasters. And when I read the story, I thought, wow, this kind of opens up the door in our thinking and perception on taboo subjects. Really, what are these subjects? They're mostly politics and religion, excuse me. So when in reading that article, here's a couple things that I learned on the success of this club. The reason that they can address these subjects is because they have a very diverse audience, or club membership. They come from very different walks of life. It must be an inner city one. So, you know, you have people from Asia, the Hindus, the Buddhists, Europeans, and middle class, the wealthy. Imagine if we had a club which had someone who was from India, who was a Hindu, someone who grew up under communism. These are really exotic to us because that's foreign, and we probably would have a curiosity about, you know, what their life was like and what their viewpoints were. So the makeup of that taboo Toastmasters in itself kind of lets people, or opens up their mind to consider. It's like traveling abroad. You want to understand other cultures and why people believe that they were. I don't know, look around here. How diverse is Park City Toastmasters? Okay, ethnically we might not be that diverse, but I assure you, politically we're probably very diverse. And I think on the spiritual side, there's a lot of diversity here. How do we address taboo subjects at Toastmasters? And why do we not want to address taboo subjects? Well, one, we don't want to offend other people, right? And here's my premise. Our country is founded on a two-party system. Why was it founded on a two-party system? Because our founders wanted that conflict. Because with that conflict and the opposition, you come to some type of a balance. Why did God create man and woman so different? Okay. It's nature. Why do we have this in Yellowstone National Park when you have a species that drops out like the wolves and then you reintroduce them and it comes back to a balance? Wolves thrive, then the deer fall population, and then there's a homeostasis where it comes back. Would we be open-minded enough in our club to hear an opposing viewpoint? Politically, religiously, and then I would also want to make the assumption that many of us want to speak about subjects that we feel are taboo, but it's simply something that we want to share with fellow Toastmasters on perhaps a level of spirituality. And I've had conversations with some of you about this. Even last week, Lori and I met after her speech and had lunch together. And if you were here last week, Lori had the book she was kind of doing, well, I call it more of a book review, on this woman who was a self-help book, but she said she had to filter out a lot of her information because it was religious. It was spiritual. I thought, well, that's too bad, because I would have liked to have heard that perspective. She was trying, you know, about growing and expanding herself and how that spirituality played into it. It was a huge component of that whole message, but Lori felt like she couldn't address it. I've had other conversations with people say, you know, there's half the subjects that come to my mind that I want to talk about Toastmasters and I can't because I feel it's a taboo subject. Is it a taboo subject? So that's what I wanted to challenge us on this, on what we want to do if we want to open this up. So here's a couple of my thoughts. Scott Peck, who was the author of The Road Less Traveled, he said that he felt that there was our level of emotional intelligence was tied to our ability to want to hear the opposition or read the opposition. Think of your own political viewpoints. We get pretty set in our perceptions based on our own traditions and how we were brought up. How much do we really entertain or want to hear what the other side has to say? Are we open-minded to hear that? How much of the stuff do you read already feeds your own political perceptions? How open are you to go turn on another news station that you never listen to because you don't really agree with it, or read an opposing political magazine message just to understand the other side better? By opening up these taboo subjects, we would be able to hear that opposition from one of our fellow Toastmasters. How would we do this? I would think that we'd have to do, the secret to doing this is that if you came up here to do a political speech, it couldn't be your soapbox. You would be sharing a perspective and wanting to open people's minds to it, not thumping the lectern and saying you're wrong and I'm right. I'm not sure if I'm right in thinking that Park City Toastmasters could take on taboo subjects, but I just wanted to put it out there, start a dialogue amongst us, maybe over coffee, to say how many of us are keeping topics that are dear to us that we'd like to express, and could we possibly open the door so that there wasn't the perception that these are taboo. St. Francis said, "Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be understood as to understand." Could we perhaps want to understand the other position better? Thank you.